It's Wednesday, your favourite, my favourite too. Kel Richards joins me now. This one's an interesting one. Our viewer Nev wants to know where the saying is, and he says the saying is, call a spade a spade. Now, I thought the saying was, call a spade a shovel.
Well, the version you know is the later jokey version. The original version, recorded 500 years ago, 540 something, is call a spade a spade. And then the more recent version, only in the 20th century, the jokey version was, he's so blunt in his speech, he would call a spade a bloody shovel. So that's the later sort of jokey version. But to say something by its proper name, to be plain speaking, to be blunt spoken, that was the original form back in the 1500s. And that comes from the ancient world. It comes from Plutarch, who in 178 BC wrote a phrase, a proverb, almost exactly like this. He didn't use the word spade. He talked about a bowl, I think, or a dish. But it's almost exactly this proverb. So it comes from the ancient world, and it just means being really blunt about things.
Well, I like blunt. I'm a country girl. I like plain speaking. Yes. Kel Richards. This is one I use, a phrase I use quite a bit. Gregory wants to know how he came to use the phrase, everything's gone all pear-shaped.
Royal Air Force slang, when a pilot tries to fly a loop-the-loop and everything goes wobbly and it's not a perfect circle, what he's done has gone all pear-shaped. That's where it appears to come from. Recorded in print for the first time 1983, but according to some experts, it goes back to the Second World War, was part of the spoken language for a long time before it appeared in print. But there you are, Air Force slang. They invented a lot of good phrases, including this one.
Irvin wants to know the correct pronunciation for Canberra. He says, is it Canberra or Canberra? I know I prefer the former, not the latter, but you'll tell us what's right.
You are right. That is the answer. It's the answer to most things on this program in this hour, I have to say. But it's right in this case. It's Canberra. The stress is on the first syllable only and always. The original Indigenous word was something like Ngambri. It had the stress on the first syllable. So that's how it has to be. I looked it up in a great old book on the Pronunciation Guide to Australian Place Names, put out by the ABC in the early 1960s, back in the days when they cared about how their presenters pronounced things. I think that might have changed.
Let's stay with that because Carol wants to know how and when the Australian accent changed.
Very early. Bruce Moore, in his book Speaking Our Language, says that the Australian accent came because convicts came from all over Britain, had different dialects, and something called levelling down happened, where in order to understand each other and communicate, they had to take out the dialectical differences. So their language became not a regional dialect, but what we know today. It was in place, says Bruce, by the 1830s, and it's pretty much still the language we speak today.
It's fascinating. I met a guy in England who was raised in England to Irish parents and he sounded like an Australian. So there you go. That's us. Thanks, Kel.